In every industry, we have what we call the gurus. In my words, I say the top dogs, the Mr. and Mrs. Miyagi's, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves with the leaders within the plumbing industry. I mean, the topic of discussion is so exciting for me. We're talking about the master plumber. These are the inspirational figures for the next generation of plumbers coming in. They set that target as to where you want to be in your ultimate stage of this industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting and brand new episode of Next Gen Plumbing. This is where I usually go, the effects pop in. But I'm so excited because today, ladies and gentlemen, I always say this whenever I chat to some people, surround yourself with greatness and you shall reflect greatness. For those of you that don't know, Nedzina Langanderenda Anichibura, aka Rain D, your number one MC. And man, today is a special episode. Now, I always say it's special, but today is legendary special because, as I said, we've got the leaders of the industry. So without wasting any time, joining me on today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear this resume. In fact, for both guests, all right? I have to start like this. Now, she's a qualified, registered PIRB and licensed plumber. Now, she's part of the Institute of Plumbing South Africa as a compliance auditor. She's the co-founder, and I have to put this in caps lock, the president, all right, of South African Women in Plumbing and Trades, and currently busy with her journey on becoming a master plumber. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, her AKA is the Plumbing Duchess. Make some noise for the lovely Lorraine Mooi. Lorraine, how are you?
I'm always awesome.
Are you good?
Always.
It's so, your resume says it all, yeah?
You left out a few things.
I did. But we still need to introduce, the other guru in the business. It's so good to have you on the show. Thank you so much. We know you're quite busy, but, we appreciate your time, right? And now she's not rolling alone, ladies and gentlemen, hailing all the way, and I know he's going to be smiling when I say this, all the way from the mother city province. Come on, it doesn't get bigger and better than that. Now, he's a qualified, registered, and licensed PIRB plumber as well. Also part of the Institute of Plumbing South Africa as the compliance auditor and, of course, technical advisory member at the PIRB. Now, when we speak about the technical guru, someone who's knowledgeable, this is the man we talk about. Man, I can't even extend further on his resume because just like Lorraine, it's so big. Ladies and gentlemen, he's already completed the Master Plumber designation, and he's AKA, as defined by Lorraine, he's Mr. Hot Water Expert. Make some noise for Mr. Richard Bailie. Richard.
Brendani, I don't know where you get these things, these resumes. It's just nonsense because I'm just a normal that has done a bit of plumbing for some years, and that's it. So you pump it up so much, it's not true. It's not true. I'm just a normal.
No, Richard, you know what? I always say you got to give people their roses while they can still smell them. Maybe I shouldn't touch on roses right now yet. We had a chat about roses earlier. But honestly, I want to give you guys your flowers, while you can still smell them because you've added tremendous value and you're still going to add tremendous value into the South African plumbing industry. So I speak on behalf of many. You're an inspiration. But now we're getting into the discussion. I know that, you have a lot that you've touched on. There's a lot of experience that you have. And today's topic is about the Master Plumber designation. I mean, the cherry on top of this industry, the industry that transports the most valuable commodity on earth, which is water. I want people to know who we're talking to. Let's talk about your journey in this industry. Why did you choose plumbing? I mean, what was your training like? And this is a question to both of you. And I think we'll probably start it with Lorraine. I mean, what was your drive behind making such a decision and becoming part of plumbing? Let's talk about this. Lorraine, you can kickstart it off.
Why plumbing? I get that a lot. Like, why? My mother, people always ask me, why the plumbing Duchess, not the plumbing queen?
Come on.
And I say the queen was my mother.
Woo.
She was the reason why I got into plumbing. I had completed my diploma in financial information systems, which is hard.
Yeah.
Google it, guys.
It sounds hectic already.
It's hectic.
Financial information system. Richard, did you get that? Like that's hectic.
Straight out my head, really.
My third year, I was like, I can't sit behind a desk. And she gave me an opportunity to explore it. And I think she was trying to deter me mostly. But after the third toilet, I was in love. I was holding the pan and I was like, I'm in love. This is my life. This is what I want to spend the next forever doing. I was 20 at the time. I'm 37 now. So it's been
I thought you were 21. My goodness.
I look like it. I have great genes. But then obviously, understanding the intricacies of plumbing and really getting involved in plumbing, it opened my eyes. Because, you open a tap and you see the water coming out and you have no idea what's happening in the background.
Yes.
And from then on, it's been my life mission. Plumbing is, people need to respect it, number one.
Yeah.
That you need to understand the importance not only of plumbers, but of tradespeople in general.
Yeah.
So from then on, it was just, my journey's just been, littered with a lot of things and a lot of people. Like Richard is one of my mentors.
Yeah.
Steve Brown, a lot of individuals that I've been blessed with that have really carried me on the journey. But my mother first. She was the one who, laid the foundation and really, really, this woman would unblock drains and she's like, it's money. So
smart
she's
woman,
like, when it's a big one, it's a 200 rand. So I think that's really, really where it started. And because my mother and I self-funded our training, our college was here in Pretoria. So I would stay behind and make money for school fees while she carried on. And we did that for 5 years. After 5 years in 2013, we both qualified. Same month.
Wow.
July, I started first.
Yeah.
Never let her forget it. I was like, the plumber. She's like, Lord, help me. And qualified 2013 Olifantsfontein. First time round. Just like to highlight that.
Oh, there was no second attempt needed. Richard, did you hear? She's just emphasizing on those key points.
Yeah. No, I'm taking notes here, Randy. I'm taking notes.
You can take your notes, Richard. I think it's also imperative because people assume as a woman, it's much more of a struggle for you. And I think in anything, if you're determined and you're laser focused, it is you will achieve what you want to achieve. And that was my thing. I was like, I'm doing this once and once only. And so we qualified. And then from there, I was like, what's next? Because there's got to be who's making decisions. And that was for me, like really wanting to explore my industry. I think what happened with the qualification was that I said to my mom, we're two black women in the Transkei. Who is going to believe we plumbers?
Yeah.
And we need to qualify. So the most important thing for us was actually getting a piece of paper, but also what we realized along the journey was that when we would bid for work, if you were not qualified, you would then already be automatically disqualified. Yeah. And we were like, so if we want to move up and step up in the world and actually have a bigger stake in this, we're going to have to take ourselves seriously.
The credibility.
And hence why qualification for us was paramount.
Yeah.
My male counterparts, like Richard, don't get asked, are you qualified? People just know, no, he must be qualified.
He's got
Whereas
it.
us women, we have to prove, So when you take out your card, you're like, you see, I'm a licensed plumber. People then take you seriously. Hence why we did the qualification.
I love it. I think, and I want to tap into Richard's journey as well. But I have to say this, and I think, Richard, you'll agree with me. People like Lorraine and her mother have broken the stereotypes of that this industry is just a male-orientated industry. And I think those stories need to be told. Those are untold, important stories of our industry because you've opened the gates for the next generation of female plumbers. And we salute you for that. And we salute your mom as well. We have to give her flowers. And in that being said, you mentioned Richard. You mentioned that he mentors you. I want to hear about your mentor's journey. I want to hear, and ladies and gentlemen, to all our viewers back at home, right? If there's a person who, every time he speaks, I also get fascinated because I'm like, wow. It's almost like he's teaching me as well because he's so passionate about this. But where did the passion start, Richard? Tell us about your journey. Why plumbing? And how did that become, especially to a point where you are right now?
Randy, I listened to Lorraine's story, and I hear things coming out of her mouth, something like her saying, I've been a mentor figure to her. That's astounding to me. I don't understand that. So my mind doesn't understand that, because she's the mentor to me. I mean, you hit the nail on the head now. I mean, and Lorraine, you said it. Your mom was a plumber. You two black ladies in Transkei, qualified plumbers. Look where you are. And I mean, how is that not inspirational? And we met many years ago, and I didn't kind of know who you were. We met, I think, once at an auditors conference, and from there, we've become very, very close. And it's not, when I hear things like this about myself, it doesn't fit with me mentally, but I accept them and I hear them, and I'm grateful for them. My journey was a different one. I never decided, like when I was at school, that I was going to become a plumber. I was called up to the army, as one does in matric. You matriculate, you get your call-up papers. My call-up papers were for June, July, the following year. So I had a 6-month gap in which to sort of find something to do. I couldn't just sit and twiddle my thumbs. So I looked around and I found this plumbing company. In fact, my father knew this person, and he said, "Hey, why don't you just go and work for him for a couple of months?" I said, "Cool, no problem." And within 2 weeks, he offered me an apprenticeship, a full-time 3-year apprenticeship, which I took. And that started my journey, and I qualified as well. It was 3.5 odd years, and I also went to Olifantsfontein, and I also qualified first time, Lorraine.
Yay!
The first time club.
The notes. No, it was, but it was nerve-wracking. And you're a youngster, and you know nothing. I promise you, you don't know anything about life. You don't know anything about plumbing. You've learned these certain things. I was lucky or privileged, and I still am, in that I've got great hand skills. My hand skills have always been excellent, and I could always make something or fix something, and so I was very good at that. So I slotted right into it immediately, and so that was my I don't know. It was. I suppose my qualification, the time that I qualified, that moment was for me. Okay, this is probably going to have to be my career, because at that stage, remember, I still had a choice whether or not to go to the army, and I wanted to go to the army. I really did. It was one of my things that I was sad that I'd missed out on, but it had become voluntary by the time I'd qualified. So the choice was mine, and I took some advice from family members and friends, and I ended up not going. In fact, looking back, I'm probably glad that I didn't go, because my career started, and I moved to Cape Town, and I just started. And you asked the question, what makes you, what drives you want to learn more? And yes. I was always very proud of what I could produce with my hands, but And the more you learn, and the more mistakes you make, and the more messes you make, the more you realize you don't know enough. Yeah. And so you start to say to yourself, okay, but now I need to learn how to rectify that. That can't happen again. What do I do here? And then you start taking that responsibility on to yourself, and realize that nobody else is going to reach out and lift you up. You're going to have to do it yourself. And take the responsibility onto your own self, if I can phrase it that way, and make it. I made it a mission. When I hear somebody ask me a question 10, 15 years ago, and I didn't know the answer, that bothered me. So I started.
I see Lorraine's nodding her head. She's like, yes, I'm just like that. Yeah.
It bothered me. When somebody says to me 15 years ago, how does a heat pump work? I hadn't heard of a heat pump, 18 years ago. So you go and find out what it is and how it works, and so on. And that was my journey, Randy. It was not a path that any of my friends or family had expected me to take. My father was a chartered accountant. I can't see myself being an accountant or anything like that. So this was my journey, and it's turned out to be fantastic.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that. There's some commonality between the master plumbers or people becoming master. There's always a financial background somewhere. I'm finding this quite interesting. But I have to tap into this, Richard. You said that you wanted to go into the military. And I want to say this, and I think, Lorraine, every time we do our media interviews, I always say people need to respect plumbers because these guys are like soldiers that transport water. So from now on, you're the lieutenant general, the commander of water. Okay, we're achieving both. I'm taking it back to Lorraine. Lorraine, your resume speaks volumes. And I mean, it goes without a doubt that you've achieved so much. But right now, you're taking a particular path. You're going into the journey of becoming a master plumber. What is leading you into this? Where's the motivation coming from? And why do you want to ensure that you achieve that designation?
Because it sounds cool. Seriously, when you say Lorraine Mooi, Master Plumber, goodness gracious. No, but in a serious note, again, I think I have to, credit my mother. It was something that we spoke about. And, we said we qualified. Now what's next? And we're like, there's a master plumber designation. She said, I'll do it after you.
Come on.
And she's like, no, you'll go first.
Yeah.
Go do it. And in me, it was very much like I think I said to somebody else, it's not about anything more, but also to inspire the girl child.
Yes.
When you see somebody achieve something that is like the top of the pops of their, their profession, it motivates, and you have no idea who you'd motivate from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so Master Plumber for me, number one, it's for me, but I'm also doing it in the memory of my mother because she passed away last year. And
she rest in peace.
And so it's my memory of my mom, but also for me because I really, really want to achieve this. I mean, there's a doctorate, guys. We'll go there next, Richard, right? We'll go there.
Yeah.
Because I think it's imperative as a person to continuously don't relax on your laurels. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if you are not pushing yourself to the next level, how do you know how good you really are?
Yeah.
And Master Plumber for me is just really kind of pushing me to the next, getting me out of my comfort zone. Because I've been licensed plumber for a while now.
Yeah.
11 years.
Come on.
So Master Plumber for me it's an imperative thing. It's like in my DNA. I need to, I must, I have to.
It's a standard formality.
There's nothing else.
As you say this, Richard, I need you back in the discussion as well. This is very important. Lorraine is taking the journey to becoming a master plumber, but you are a master plumber. Now it sounds beautiful. I wanna take out the strawberries and creams in this conversation. Let's talk semantics. I mean, to becoming a master of anything is not easy. I mean, let's be honest. So what does this journey entail? Because you've achieved it already. What are the hurdles that you had to go through? And I mean, I wanna honor the late Mr. Anton Venter, who was part of the development of this process in creating the designation Master Plumber. Let's talk about what it entails, because you got it. But what did you go through?
Yeah, let's talk about Mr. Venter. I mean, he was tasked with the architecture of the designation, wasn't he?
Yes.
Or the oversight of the architecture. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of input from all parties, a lot of parties. Yes. I consider myself firmly a junior of the people that had input in this process and to create this designation. And I still, to this day, just consider myself in the right place at the right time, and lucky. I don't place much. There is a certain amount of ability, I guess, that I have, but I'm just more lucky than anything else, and I'm humble like that. I really don't. I really have to be reminded constantly that I'm in this illustrious company. So. But the essence of the Master Plumber program was, I think, it's not to just have a name. It was to separate the people that wanted to sort of not. I hesitate to use the words like stick out or step up or anything like that, because I don't see myself above anybody else. So I don't want to say those words, but it's for those individuals who wanted to separate themselves in a certain context, I guess.
Yes.
And I think one of the most important things for me was when I realized that I had already been part of the industry bodies for many years. For example, an auditor I had been for many, many years. I was involved with our OPSA for many, many years. And it was a natural step. So I had already started for years before that. I had already started like quite a lot of training, and I discovered that I wasn't half bad at it. Yeah. And so that was a surprise for me. And then I thought, okay, well, if I have got this to give, I might as well go and give it, because I think part of being a master plumber is give back. It's not to receive, it's to give. Yes. And that, I think, is the biggest thing. We must realize we are just stepping stones. We are foundations. We must give upwards. And that to me was an inspiring thought, to be considered part of a foundation that would be able to underpin future plumbers. That to me is inspiring. It's nothing to do with what I get and that's nothing. Yes. It's what is my legacy? What have I given? And have I been able to give certain things? And that to me, if anybody in 5 years' time can answer that question with a yes, then I'm happy. Wow. Then I'm happy.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. As you were speaking, you painted this picture for me, because I think to our viewers back at home, just to give you a bit of an overview around the Master Plumber designation, it's not just being a technical expert. I think people need to understand it's such a holistic designation. We're talking about leadership attributes, and that's where the giving part comes in. Understanding business, entrepreneurship skills, and sharing that knowledge to the next generation of plumbers, or plumbers who are currently perhaps licensed. But here's a question, and this is for both of you guys. And I think this is, I like tapping into some difficult aspects. As a country, South Africa, we know that, we have different social issues that affect us. But does this designation, speak to everyone? Can anyone achieve this? Or is it just for a select few? Can that plumber in Togoza, in Hammanskraal, who's been plumbing and perhaps is a licensed plumber, be able to obtain this designation? Or is it just for the cream of the crop, if I may put it into a lighter perspective? I mean, it's an open conversation. Maybe Lorraine, since you're on the journey, you can touch on that. And Richard, I'd love to get your perspective as well after that.
I think anything in life is achievable. It's what you want for yourself. But also, I always tell people, you also can't become something you don't see. Ooh. I became a plumber because I saw my mother, who had been a corporate girlie, become this woman in boots and water and all of this. And if you're able to, I think it's always a great thing that other individuals, like Xolani's on the journey, and the Mahins. I mean, you look at Mahin's story where he's just recovered from cancer. Yes. And he came back, and what he's done with his life since. And that's why I think it's so important that individuals, these stories are told about how people become. Because people see a picture of Richard standing over there, Master Plumber Richard. Yes. Or they see Lorraine, Mooi, and they don't understand what we've done to become who we are. I think it's imperative, number one, that you've got to have, and also people, you've got to have an unshakable belief in yourself. You've got to know that regardless of what your present circumstance is, if I want to achieve it, I will. Plain and simple. Master Plumber are for those people, and I think this is what Richard has said, is for someone who wants to take themselves seriously. Doesn't matter where you're from. I'm from the Transkei. I'm from Butterworth. In the middle of, I'm on the N2. Yes. That's how the only way you know us, that we exist. And I'm a black woman. Yeah. And yet, I've put myself on this journey I mean, what does it stop anybody else?
Come on.
Whether you Pete, whether you Sipho, whether you are Jessica, whether you are Jabu, where does it stop you from becoming the best version of yourself? The only one who does that is you.
Yes.
And it's regardless of where you come from. It's not where you start your journey, it's how you end it. And if you take yourself seriously and you really, really drive to become the best version of yourself, there's nothing that can stop you.
Ooh, I think this is where we go, ba, 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 you know, add some salt in there. Yeah? Richard, do you agree with Lorraine?
No, I do. I 100% agree. And to answer your question bluntly, Randy, it's for anybody. I don't see. I think Lorraine hit the nail on the head. It's your attitude. It's your own belief in yourself that you need to be steadfast in. I made a note here and I said, you are your own greatest asset.
Yes.
Why would you not invest time, effort in yourself, your greatest asset that you have to offer the world? Invest time and effort into it. So I don't believe that with that mindset, it's not achievable by anybody. I know that there are real obstacles in the way of many people that might be listening to this. Things like lack of internet access, things like language barrier, things like I've never been exposed to anybody other than my next door neighbor plumber I know that these are obstacles I never had to face. And so I can't speak on that level, but I do know that what Lorraine said and what I feel, you have to commit to it. And even if it's not Master Plumber, commit to becoming qualified.
Yes.
And say, that's my step. There's my ladder. Let's go and buy a standard this month. And let's become qualified. And then we look higher and further and further in the distance, you know. So I don't think it's impossible. So yeah.
I love that. I gotta put some spice in there for you as well, Richard. Yeah, I see you guys. You guys came prepared, man. Yeah, that's why you guys are on this Master Plumber level. I see. Lorraine, how far are you with your journey to becoming a Master Plumber? Because you've been doing it now. Which stages are you in now?
I've started.
Come on.
No, I started the process. Unfortunately, I was hindered by a few things due to reasons, but I'm back on track again. It is my aim that by the end of 24, that I am a Master Plumber.
Come on.
It is what drives me, honestly, every day.
Yeah.
It's on my vision board.
Come on.
But also, you know, because every day, and I tell people, Master Plumbing is not only about just having the title, but it's also how you conduct yourself in your everyday.
Yes.
Also, really, you know, like Richard talks about us getting involved in industry in so many levels. We've been able to be exposed to different individuals. And I think it's also about the person who wants to get on the journey, for them to also I get DMs from young ladies that say, I'm licensed, what do I do next?
Yes.
But also seeing it as a situation of, I learn, and I think I said this before, is that mentorship is not one way. And you have mentors at different stages. I've got mentors that are in their 20s.
Come on.
I've got mentors that are in their 60s, 70s. And I think it's imperative that when you start a journey like this, you also have your own cheerleader, but you also have your little cheer squad that are like, you
Come
said,
on. Yeah,
we are
I'm holding
here.
you accountable
We are
now.
here.
Let's do this. Yeah.
You know? And so for me, it's one of the things that is driving my 24, is being a Master Plumber. It is like, it's in my DNA right now.
It's a must.
It's a must. It
achievable, and it's gonna be achieved in 2024. Richard, we're gonna hold Lorraine accountable. We're gonna put it to the test. Come the 31st of December,
TikTok,
2024. Lorraine, we need to give her a call at 11:50. All right. I love what you said. And Richard, I have to emphasize this. And Lorraine, I need you to guys understand that the purpose of this show is, and then the name rather, is called Next Generation Plumbing. Now, it means we're focusing on the upcoming generation and we touch on different aspects. And I get the pleasure of traveling and engaging some of these institutions where young plumbers are in the mix. And the moment you tell them about the existence of a designation called the Master Plumber, you see their eyes going, what? Really? There's such a thing? And I mean, you can see it activates excitement. It almost like it opens up this part of the mind that says, I want that. That's my vision. That's where I'm going. And that's why I say you guys are role models in the industry. You know, you guys are role models. People look up to you because you've traveled the journey and you've achieved that. So, Richard, to the youngsters, perhaps who are in TVET colleges, and because you've achieved the Master Plumber designation, you know, in a nutshell, just a simple process of becoming a Master Plumber. In a summary, let's just touch onto that before we summarize our discussion.
Well, the process is, I think, I thought about this question because obviously we had the question circulated to us, and I thought long and hard about how to answer this if I was asked it. And I decided not to go into the entire process, but just to say, start. That to me is the most important step in the process. Yeah. Just decide and start. The rest comes and it will open itself up for you. So don't bother yourself now about this massive mountain. Just start. And I'm going to leave it there, Randy. Yeah.
Start the process. That was a smart move, Richard. That was a smart move. He's slick, eh? That was smooth, yeah. I know it feels like this conversation just started, and I mean, it saddens me every time we get into this fire mode, but we obviously, you know, have to. Whenever something good starts, there has to be a conclusion to it. But before we conclude, words of encouragement, words of inspiration. You know, there's that youngster, girl, boy, white or black, irrespective of age, who's ambitious, who's hungry. It's got that tenacity to becoming someone in this industry of value such as yourselves. What can you leave them with today? Lorraine.
Love your craft. Plumbing to me is the be all and end all. I love it in every aspect. Yeah. Love it, but also be very intentional about what you're doing. If you want, some people's ambitions are very different. As you can see, Richard and I, we on another level.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of youngsters that are like that as well. And it's imperative for them to be steadfast and to really, really take themselves seriously, because no one takes you seriously unless you take them seriously. Take yourself seriously. And, you know, when you introduce yourself, say it with pride. Yeah. You know, we don't say proud plumber for nothing. What we do is something that is imperative to the world. Yes. And it is imperative that you internalize that, that you are a plumber, not just you are a plumber. And you provide the world such a great service that you need to understand your value and the value of what you do. But always keep improving. There's not a time that we are not referring to each other for something, because we are continuously improving ourselves. So improve yourself, and whatever happens, have unshakable belief in yourself. And know that if I start this journey, I'm going to finish it. No matter how long it takes me, no matter what happens in between, no matter what anybody tells me about plumbing is a dirty job, it's got money.
Come on. You guys heard that, right?
But it has to be done right. And you also have to take yourself very seriously. Come on. It is, I could talk about plumbing day and night because I love it to my core. Yeah. It is everything to me. And you need to have that same attitude, but for yourself.
Beautiful. I mean, come on. I see you, Lorraine. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you heard her, a.k.a. the Plumbing Duchess. Richard, your final words of inspiration to those that are listening, to those, as I said, who have that hunger to be or to achieve the designation that you've achieved called the Master Plumber.
Randy, you really expect me to follow that? That's not fair, my friend. Lorraine got my crib notes from somewhere because I was going to say something very similar.
I've been spying on you, Richard.
Yeah, she's been spying on you, yeah.
My biggest, and I must agree, for me, it is, I think there is a massive disconnect between the perception of what plumbing is and what plumbers are, between the perception of it and the reality of it.
Yeah.
I think that is a disconnect that you as the plumber or the practitioner or the technician must first seek to bridge.
Yes.
The day you become proud to call yourself a plumber, stand up in amongst a bunch of CAs, doctors, engineers, and architects and say, I'm a plumber.
Come on.
And then you will start to love yourself and what you do, respect it. And when you respect it, your standard has to lift. You have to start being more vigilant, etc., etc., etc. And so starts the snowball.
Yes.
And that is what it is. I think to me, that core is respect and pride for the trade, for the craft, for the profession, and then for yourself.
Man, you guys are on some other level. I see the masters are in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, 12 viewers back at home. I don't know about you, but I truly am inspired. And to be surrounded with people like you guys, I roll with Master Plumbers, just by the way. Yeah? I'm telling our viewers back at home. Thank you so much. It truly has been a fruitful discussion. And I know that there's a special addition I want to add before we wrap things up. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you the official, the one and only true ambassador of our industry, all right, in the Western Cape. Right, and I mean, he's got Richard's back. We gotta make Georgie famous. Richard, let's put Georgie in the mix, guys. There's Georgie. We see you. I want people to start knowing that they're gonna start seeing more of Georgie when we're having our plumbing industry discussions. So shout out to Georgie. Is Georgie good, Richard?
Yeah, he's always good, eh? He you know, if you're a bird person, you know that they've got personalities and they are bipolar. They are loving, but then they will bite a hole into your finger.
Come on.
In the next minute. So at the moment, he's good.
He's still good. But thank you so much to all three of you guys, right? Lorraine, Richard, I mean, thank you so much. Georgie, I see you. To our viewers back at home, thank you for tuning in once again to another exciting and educational, fulfilling episode of Next Gen Plumbing. Just in case you forgot, I go by the name of Rendani Chiwura, a.k.a. Rain D, your number one MC. Make sure you go onto our website, www.pirb.co.za. Catch us on our digital platforms at PIRBSA. That's Facebook, Instagram, and, of course, Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, I close it off in style. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Yes, man.